coming to the HJ free webinar series. Oh gosh, this has to be episode like 185 or something like that. That doesn't matter. What
Yeah.
does matter is that Jason and I are here with a very special guest, Michael Cantrell. Jason's going to introduce Michael here in a second. We're going to get into the topic. Really, really cool topic. If you heard me and Michael just riffing just now, just about ways that you can utilize text messaging to get in front of your donors. All sorts of. Once again, we're just going to go down the rabbit hole today. It's going to be awesome. We want to go down the rabbit hole and we want to get a bunch of questions from you all. If you are watching this live, great. Thanks so much for joining us. It's good to see you again and good to meet you if this is your first time. I got Q&A function at the bottom, chat feature over here. It's open to everyone. We'll see everyone's questions. You can let us know where you're from, the organization that you represent, all that good stuff. Last but not least, my name's Trevor Nelson, my business partner, Jason Ledlow. We're HGA Fundraising, the most profitable auction items in fundraising. And we're here to have another great conversation about ways that you can get in front of your current donors and new donors and get out into the world with your mission first, obviously. Jason's going to remind me, state of the end and win. We're going to give something cool away. I don't know what yet. Jason's going to figure that part out. I'll just leave it at that. He's very, very generous. So we're going to stay to the very end and win. If you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, leave us of course, subscribe, but leave us a comment or a question in the comments and we will respond to you when we can. So thanks so much, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, brother. I love this
Happy to be here, guys.
Right on. Jay, how do you know Michael? I have a feeling you've known Michael and his family for a while.
So this is an interesting story. So Michael's uncle and I go back about, 25 years, something like that. It's been 20,
is this Danny?
At least 2 decades. Danny. Yeah. So Danny, because
cool.
before they got in the texting, they were in the message business, like email. And so we had a deal where they would take our email, they would transcribe it. And I had a really good relationship because I talked to him almost every week, if not every other week, at least, if not every week, was Michael's grandfather.
Mm.
And so he was a dear guy, really loved talking to him and everything. And somewhere along that, back in those days, Michael's dad, Mike, came into the business, and then they started a company called what was it? I forgot.
Solutions by Text.
Solutions by Text. Yeah. So they had Solutions by Text. And this is where it really gets interesting. So they've got all these texting things. Well, they had an exit. They sold the company, but they didn't sell everything because they'd started an initial piece of it called Mission by Text.
Mm-hmm.
Mission by Text was specifically in the nonprofit world. That's what they did. They did it with churches, ministries, different things like that. We worked together. Giving by Text was something that we did with them, and then it made sense. It didn't make sense for me to continue doing that, and so they continued doing that stuff as well. Here's the thing: everybody gets 9 million text messages, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael, I'm saying all that just because that's how I know these guys, but they've got it down to a science of all the different ways and do's. And I'm going to let Michael tell this stuff, but we all know we get text messages right now. I don't know if anybody else's, you can give a hand raise if you're on the text string for all the political stuff. And I'm getting it from both sides. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. What?
I said, I didn't know I was, but there I am.
Yeah, exactly. We're all getting it. Yeah. So we're getting robocalls, text messages. Yeah. It's out there. And we're getting all that. So right now is probably not the time where anybody's thinking, oh yeah, man, give me some more text messages.
Sure.
But the reason that they all do it is because it works and it's effective. And what we've seen, we're nonprofits, they'll generally use it with their software pre-event, texting about what the event's coming up, doing all that. But Michael, tell us how using this text message is going to help our nonprofits, that maybe in ways that we haven't ever thought of.
Yeah. So I think it all kind of goes back to where we started with Solutions by Text and just doing payment reminders, account notifications, marketing related messages for some of the biggest brands in the world, like eBay, Harley Davidson, US Bank. And at the end of the day, that's just punching the clock, doing business. There's no reward or eternal impact that ever comes from that. And so when we sold solutions by text and carved out ministry by text about 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, that's really when the fun got started, and just coming alongside and teaching nonprofits the effective, but not only effective, but compliant way to add text messaging has just been just rewarding. It's kingdom work. It's good work. And it just in this past year, we've gone through a rebranding process from ministry by text to powered by text. So it can be a little bit more all encompassing and kind of expand into some other sectors that we didn't necessarily have on the roadmap, but now we're excited to be able to service. And so I think just coming alongside and not not just only using text message to communicate with donors or people that just support your nonprofit, but just approaching it with from a mindset of it's omni-channel communication. We're not reinventing the wheel. We don't have to come up with just this completely new communication strategy just because we're adding texting. It's just simply adding the texting piece so it complements what you're already doing.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Michael. I'm so glad you said it because we've been having these conversations with, we had an email expert on last week. We've had social experts, we've had video experts, handwritten note experts, software experts. Now we have a text, and it's just like you said, just an omnipresence, just so we're making sure that we're not, if folks are going, I don't think we should use text because we already rock email. It's like, well, no, because not all your emails are being open, right? So we just want to cast a wider net, right? This is not like some earth shattering stuff, but going 30,000 foot view. It's just like another layer. But talk to us about like where the attention lies with people as far as how more likely they're going to open up a text versus like an email, for instance, or
Yeah,
give
I,
the folks some data.
I think to get down to the numbers, before I tell you the answer, do you guys know how many text messages are sent roughly a day in the world? Just in
No
one day,
idea.
Well, the calculator broke when we tried.
23 billion text messages a day.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy, man. Yeah.
So I mean,
23
A
billion.
day.
I was gonna pop out and say a billion, but that's not even close, is it?
Yeah,
Wow.
I knew
uh,
we were probably a little bit north of that, but
I think a
23
billion
billion.
is just high schoolers alone are sending a
Yeah.
billion
easily, right? Yeah.
probably.
And my
But
20-year-old. And my 20-year-old.
yeah,
Just kidding.
and I think texting has just slowly become just the most preferred communication method out there across the world. And the cool thing to see is kind of the governing body for texting that's out there, and
Yeah.
how many restrictions that they're putting in place so the texting world doesn't end up like the email world where you're getting a lot of spam and clutter, and there's no compliant way for you to give someone your email address. I mean, they're just grabbing it wherever they can find it, buying lists and stuff. And the governing body for text messaging doesn't allow that happen. They'll fail that message before it even gets out. So it's affirming to see
Yeah.
the things that are getting put in place. So not only is this going to continue to be the most preferred communication method, but it's also going to stay the most compliant. And I think for us, that's just what we hold near and dear to our heart is compliance. We have a direct relationship with aggregators and carriers so that we're helping work with them to manage all of that ecosystem for messaging. So nonprofits especially don't ever have to try to tiptoe into those waters and try to figure out all that for themselves. We take care of that for them, and then
Right.
we just simply we handle audits and just make sure, more importantly, that you're staying compliant so we can still continue to push the positive message that all these nonprofits are doing.
And I was going to say glass half full. So the messages
Mhm.
actually end up with, in the right hands, right? I mean, that's another
Oh
Well,
yeah,
huge piece of that. Yeah, that's the right,
and
right.
I remember whenever we did giving by text, and then we had to do these things. We were working with nonprofits that they would go and do this opt in, and where they could load all their numbers that they had and do the opt in. Talk to us about what that process is like now. Maybe how it's changed, maybe it's the same, but talk to us about that process. Let's say, I've got a nonprofit and I've got 1,000 phone numbers of donors. How does that work?
yeah.
Very cool.
So in the business world, they refer to this as a um, that pre-existing business relationship. So whether you've come to the bank and you've opened up a new bank account, or you got a loan, or you went to a store and purchased something, in the corporate world, that pre-existing business relationship allows you to send a one-time text message letting them know that they've opted into account-related text messages. And then
Hmm.
there's some fine print, message and data rates apply to opt out, reply stop. The same rules apply for the nonprofit space, but there's no blurred line between account related messages and marketing related messages, because all it is there's different ways to volunteer, to stay engaged with the nonprofit, make a donation, or be just kept in the know of what your favorite nonprofit or speaker is doing. And so with that list that every nonprofit has of someone that's ever signed up to volunteer, purchased something online, made a donation, etc., all the different avenues that they come in to interact with your nonprofit. Once they give you your phone number, you're allowed to send them that one-time compliance message that opts them into ongoing messaging from your nonprofit. And as long as they don't reply stop, then they're in. But once they
Yeah.
reply stop, then our system specifically logs that, and then they won't receive another message, even if you tried to push them one.
Love it. Good. Good.
Well, I think that's really because, we talk about this compliance stuff. And of course, in the nonprofit world, everybody's pretty conservative when it comes to, those kind of things. So they want to do things right and they want to do it the right way. But, you brought up a couple things about, I don't want to spend too much time about the how, but I think it's real important to talk about the what. You said, volunteer opportunities. Text messaging literally could be used for that. Um, there's a golf course I play at, and they were going to have a tournament, and we had a bunch of hail here. And they sent out a text message, "Hey, everybody, we need everybody that we can to come and fix the course so that way this tournament can be played." And what that meant is we were all going to get on your hands. I didn't go, but where you get on your hands and knees and fix that. That's how this can work. And I think a lot of times nonprofits, in the nonprofit world, we think about it just from raising money. Well, because that's just what maybe their experience is from their auction software and doing it. So give us some idea, like what you're seeing in the nonprofit space, what they're doing with this,
Yeah, I
with
think
the power of text messaging.
yeah, what you're touching on is everyone's favorite part of texting is kind of that text to give, and we refer to that kind of as the middle of the cinnamon roll. That's everyone's favorite bite, but before you get to the middle, you kind of got to work from the outside in, and that really
That's
kind of
awesome.
builds up that anticipation for that best bite right there in the middle. And so I think for us, and kind of managing these nonprofits is there's that expectation that we're not only going to service the people directly that benefit from our nonprofit, but also we're going to service and be good stewards of the finances that we're receiving. And part of that is just generally just the biggest thing is just sending a thank you message. How I think you'd be shocked at how many nonprofits the only engagement is just them asking for more money, saying thanks, we couldn't do this without you. Click this link to make another donation. And that's just so dry and sterile. And it's
Yeah.
just, and you'd be surprised the amount of increase by just sending a thank you message or sending an update on what that nonprofit is currently doing. Hey, thanks. Just wanted to click this link. We wanted to give you a quick update on how you've helped us.
Nice.
But man, the impact that we've seen with MMS messaging now. So not just the SMS, which is the plain text with the links, but now actually being able to put a picture in there, a GIF, a video. I mean, right now, unfortunately, with all
Wow.
the hurricanes and the natural disasters that are going on, there's some great nonprofits out there that are on the front lines and they're sending updates. And it's a rotating GIF. And one of our partners is an awesome ministry called 8 Days of Hope, and they go down there to these areas and they build houses from the ground up in 8 days, and they go out there and service the community. And they're sending these awesome MMS messages just to give updates on what's going on, not asking for money, just asking for prayers, for thoughts, and just giving people an update on what exactly their ministry is doing and how they're helping.
It's good. So
That's really
good.
good.
Wow.
You brought something up because we talk about, when you need to thank somebody 7 times before you ask them for money again.
Mhm.
And, so because we're in the event business, we're around, we work mostly with nonprofits and the fundraising and their events. So we say, okay, well, you thank them in person, you're there. Thank you for coming, for being a part of this, doing this. So there's one. You send them a text message. Hey, thanks a lot for, last night. Send them an email. Maybe you send them a note. And I think one of the things that you just brought up is one of the best things is to say, because of you, we're able to do this. Because of what you did, this is what you're buying into. Because that, in nonprofit world, we don't want it to be necessarily just a practical thing. We want it to be an emotional. We want them to have an emotional connection to our cause, to our mission. And if we're so give us some idea of what you've seen as far as in that piece of it, like you said with the MMS where they can send a picture, send stuff. Um, do you have any numbers like this show that, this nonprofit, when they started putting this in,
Yeah, the
doing the
engagement
thank
increase.
yous,
Yeah.
you talk about that. Do you have any where you can quantify that?
Yeah, I think by just putting an MMS piece in your text message alone, I think it 3 to 4x your engagement on URLs within the text message itself.
So you're
Because
talking about
it's
embedding links too as well, right? At the same,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
cool.
So if it's like
Cool.
a click this link to see an update
Yeah.
on what we did with our latest service project, for example, you might see X amount of clicks just on that URL, but then just attaching an MMS piece to that, you'll see 3 to 4x engagement on that URL. And
Oh,
that
wow.
because what that MMS does is it kind of tees, but it also verifies what they're clicking on, because there's still kind of that voice in the back of your head. What is this URL? I don't want to
Yeah.
click on it. I
Yeah.
don't have time to do it. But that
Right.
MMS teaser, whether it's a video, a GIF, a picture, that kind of picks that curiosity that makes them want to click on it. And then from there, it's another strategy we refer to as land and expand. And they might be clicking on that URL just to read the brief article or watch the extended video. But when they're there, that now they're on your website, and now just naturally they're going to peruse the rest of your website.
Mhm.
Really
But
good.
the big,
Now,
the big thing with that as well too is another point is they're doing all of this from their smartphone. They're not doing this from their computers anymore. They're not going in there and typing in a URL from a letter that they received. So the biggest thing right now that we're seeing is just making sure that your website is mobile optimized,
yeah,
because more people are viewing your website and your content from their phone than they are from any other piece of technology out there.
makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you brought up email early on, and in comparison, kind of gives me permission to compare it again. But like any, what we'll, talking about like email, for instance, you put in a link, you put in an image, it's going to hit some blockers. So because it's,
Mhm.
like once again, email world is still playing catch
Mhm.
up from regulatory standpoint, right? When you're adding, just so folks can quantify it once again in their minds, when you're adding the URL, when you're adding the GIF or an image to the text message, it's not hitting any data block or provider block or anything like that.
Yeah,
Just
because
getting right
what we're
through.
doing is before you can send a single message, we're registering your what's called a short code. It's a
Yeah.
five-digit number. The carriers have come in here and they've created these five-digit numbers
Okay.
uh, for B2P messaging. So that stands brand to peer. So before if I were to text you, Trevor, or text you, Jason, that's P2P messaging, peer to peer. So that's what you
Right.
see on those 10-digit numbers. And so just like a nonprofit, just like businesses, the carriers have come out and created this gateway, these five-digit numbers, these short codes, because these are meant for mass texting. They're meant for your brand to text your followers, and we'll see higher throughputs. We'll see
Right.
more good restrictions, so not anyone can come in here and text off your number. Because a lot of times, what you'll see with those spammy messages that you're getting now, 9.9 times out of 10, those are coming from 10-digit numbers and not five-digit numbers. Because a
Mhm.
10-digit number, they can go out there, grab it, blast you with a couple messages before it gets blocked and terminated, pick up another 10-digit number and keep doing it over and over and over.
Almost like
As
a
opposed
subdomain
to,
once again with emails.
yeah,
Yeah. I got you.
and as
So they
opposed
burn
with
up
these
that 10-digit. Michael, explain to folks that when you say 10-digit, 5-digit, because even me, I'm just going, oh yeah, 10-digit, that makes sense. Explain just so folks can understand, like, I mean, honestly, for their own, peace of mind when they're looking at text messages, what it looks like from a spam perspective and the 5-digit perspective.
Yeah. So the 10-digit phone numbers, those are often called long codes as well. That's where you're
Mhm.
going to see all your spam and your and all that poor traffic. The five-digit numbers, the short
Mhm.
codes, that's where
Mhm.
where you're hardly going to see any of that spam, because you have to register that five-digit number with the aggregators and the carriers. We
Mhm.
create what's called a brief, so we can set up your brand with that specific five-digit short code. So then the
Mhm.
carriers and the aggregators, they know exactly what type of messaging is coming from this number, who should even be sending the messages. So if they see someone's trying to send a message off that, they'll block it and shut it down before it even gets delivered, because they're not a verified sender for that number. As opposed with
Okay.
10-digit numbers, it's almost kind of like email, the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
I want to do a call for questions, Jay. For
yeah,
folks, if
yeah.
there's anything that we've covered or haven't covered yet, or what have you, if you're intrigued by this, or there's like there's some gap or whatever
So
that we
while
can
y'all
fill.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, while we're queuing that up, and anybody has a question, please, we'll get to them, I promise. So actually today, I got a text message from Powered by Text, and it
Oh, cool.
said, PBT users, this month we're excited to announce major reporting feature updates along with advancements in AI capabilities.
Hmm.
So talk to us about that. And that's why when I saw that, I thought, oh,
Well,
I'm going
that's
to ask
top of
Michael
mind,
about
isn't it?
this.
Yeah, yeah,
AI is the hot thing. Everybody wants to hear about it. How is Powered by Text using artificial intelligence to help in the texting world?
Yeah. So, I mean, just like anything, I think you said it, AI is the hot topic right now. And I think AI is great and it helps and accomplishes a lot of things. But I mean, you're still not going to fully, there's still going to be some non AI components to everything. And
Mhm.
so for us,
Sure.
it's for AI. We're really building this kind of to be a more shortcuts and just kind of save you time more than anything. So with our newest release, and I won't get into some of the stuff we have on the roadmap quite yet, but for now, it's just kind of like Chat GPT. You can go in there, you can prompt our software to craft a message for you. Hey, craft a thank you message or craft a giving campaign. Use it in a optimistic tone and keep it to 160 characters or less. Oh, and use this URL and plug this picture. And then it'll craft that message and kind of create
Wow.
those templates for you to kind of plug and go.
Cool. Cool.
That's
Hey,
cool. That's
you
real
just said
cool.
160 characters. I know you're just making an illustration, but let's talk about just we constantly, and we do a bad job of this sometimes too, man. So admittedly, brevity of message. Talk to
Mhm.
me about how
Well, I
important that
think
is.
it's specific because I think that's the maximum you can do is 160
To,
characters per
no, one
text,
million
correct?
percent. But is that the slot, so to
Yeah.
speak, or are
Well,
we,
Yeah, I would.
I'm just
or
saying
do
that
we
for
need?
everybody so you understand,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
would say
106. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
so.
Sorry.
The carriers. That's what they've deemed one text message is the equivalent to 160 characters. So that's where you'll start to kind of see two, one, two, three credit messages, and that's only because that message length itself has gone over that 160 character limit, and you might send a message that's 300 characters long. So just because it's might be getting ticked for 2 to 3 credits, it's still delivering as one normal message. So
Mhm.
I think
yeah.
best practice probably. Let me get my calculator out.
Well,
Yeah.
and let me give some background
Three.
because so the way that this works when Michael says credits, the way that if you were using a service like Michael's is you're going to you're going to have your money, your account is going to limit you to so many text messages or a certain number per month, basically. And so you have
Mhm.
this text, let's just say it's 500 texts and you've got 100 people on your list. I'm just making this up. So, but you send a 161 character text message, it's going to ding you for 2 text messages. It's going to look like one,
Got it.
but it's going to come
Yeah.
through as 2. So you've got to just do that. So, I could do that 2.5. I could basically do that 2.5 times. And so it's all about efficiency, brevity, back to your point, Trevor, when we're doing this, that we want
Yeah.
to be thoughtful about it because this stuff does
Yeah.
happen, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And to answer your question, Trevor, what our software does is it actually caps you at 480 characters, which is kind of the equivalent of three of those text messages.
Three of the credits. Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we want to remind people that SMS stands for short messaging service. These are supposed to be messages that people can read in 5 to 10 seconds or less. Watch
Yep.
a quick 30-second or less video and kind of tap into that. All right, I have a minute. I have 2 minutes. Let me go make sure there's nothing important. Oh, here's my favorite nonprofit. Click on that, and then I have
Mhm.
a very concise and effective update on what my nonprofit's doing, followed by maybe the face or one of the other people that kind of work within that nonprofit.
Mhm. Mhm. When it comes to, let's just say a nonprofit goes, yeah, we want to use this. We've got a database. I've got 1,000 mobile numbers. Obviously, we see the efficacy behind it. Let's just say someone has some mild trepidation, but they're in, they want to use it, right? And they go, hey, how do we know that folks are going to realize that it's us? And I mean this, Michael, from like a branding perspective. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, you say, hey, it's us from HGA. We're here. It's Jason and Trevor from HGA. So there's like an immediate, right? But what if there's this, once again, just an organization has a little bit of trepidation? How will they know it's us? And like, what do you recommend just from a branding perspective, or just like, obviously it's going to change with the initial text to, 4 months down the line or what have you. But how do you just kind of advise folks and coach them up on how to go about that from a branding perspective?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to do it. So oftentimes when people come on board, they hit the sign up button. So that triggers kind of our onboarding time. So it'll
Okay.
take on average 4 to 6 weeks to get their 5-digit short code live. So in that 4 to 6 weeks, what we're doing is we're meeting weekly and we're building kind of your rollout and your communication strategy. So that includes hinting and teasing at it on socials or email. Hey, we want to get in contact with you, and we're going to start doing this in different ways. Be on the lookout for
Gotcha.
something on the horizon.
No
And then,
surprises. No
yeah,
surprises.
and
Yeah,
then
got it.
when that
Okay.
message comes, it's not
Yeah.
just that standard compliance message. Hi, you've been added to HGA communication. Message and data
Hmm.
rates apply to opt out reply stop. It's actually a welcome message. So
Yeah.
it'll kind of be that two-part message. The first part being the most important part, that they're receiving that compliance message, but then right after they receive that, they're receiving a welcome message. Hey, it's Michael from Powered by Text. I know we've probably met before or you've seen me around. Just know this is legit. We're going to start contacting you and giving you updates by text. We have so much more to come. Click the link in this message to see everything. And then when they do that, now there's a face, there's the brand, there's a URL, and it just, the guard comes down because it's like, oh, I recognize that person. I
They're
recognize that.
real. Yeah.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
at their
Mhm.
headquarters. I've been there before for a gala,
Yeah.
different things
Yeah.
like that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Jay, you got a question? I have another question.
Yeah. Go. You go.
Well, so, so I wrote down, Michael, and once again, call for questions, please. We got the Q&A function at the bottom, chat feature on the side, and nothing's off limits. And so I wrote down so you're consulting with a nonprofit, and there's going to be some obvious things like, hey, you're going to say this, or they're going to come to you going, hey, this is what we want to do, Michael. We get what you all do, and we get that you're going to help us. Recurring donations, asking for money, updates about what we're doing. This is, the work that we're doing. You can add the links, you can add the images. Jason and I mentioned we're in the event space, so we're big believers. And once again, no surprises. Text folks the opportunity to buy tickets, tables, previews for live auction items. You get text messages when you're outbid. What is something that I didn't just list off that has been kind of like an aha that you've been able to advise nonprofits to do when it comes to what you're asking, I guess, out of them, like almost like a call to action, I guess. Once again, sorry
Oh,
to use
oh,
like,
oh, I've got one.
yeah, because I have one too, but go ahead, Jay. Yeah, please.
Well,
What?
I'll let Michael.
All
We've
right,
got the
cool,
we've
cool.
got the professional in here.
Yeah, let's
We'll
talk
let him
about it,
talk
man.
about
Let's
it.
talk about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I've seen, and that we have a very user friendly facing software that you can use, but APIs
Yeah,
are our wheelhouse. We're integrated to a
yeah,
dozen or some odd softwares already, with
yeah.
dozens more to come. So
Mhm.
APIs are where we really rock and roll. And so I think one of the biggest things, for example, with one of our partners, HubSpot, is people can go in there and then you can set up workflows and automation. So if someone comes to your website and they're interested in a book, they add it to their cart, they don't quite finish the checkout because they got distracted, or they said they're going to think about it, then you can start to trigger these abandoned cart messages. And here comes, hey,
Mhm.
we saw you're looking at this. How's 15% off sound? Click this link to get your discount. And so there's a lot of really fun and easy ways to just kind of add that texting piece to some of the stuff that you're already doing.
Mhm.
Well, and what that does is it allows you can put some of these things in there for like your events, communication, different things, where it's got all the workflow in there, which is going to take a tremendous pressure off of people working in the nonprofit. Because in the nonprofit,
Mhm.
it's like 2.5 full-time employees is what I think the
Sure,
average is in the United
sure.
States. So it's, we're small, very small staff. I see some people, Beverly's a full-time professional volunteer. And
Yeah.
so, so she's right there in the middle of it working with her nonprofit. And, but to do that, and all this work, these are things that are going to just take a lot of pressure off, get that communication out, make that, that interaction happen in a real healthy way. Well, when I was raising my hand and going, oh,
Yeah,
I've got
please.
something.
Yeah.
The nonprofit, one of the nonprofits that we worked with text, giving by text, they used it groups for group
Mhm.
communication. So they had a
Okay.
group for their board, They had a group
Mm-hmm.
for all the employees
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they're larger. They did have quite a few people there and the service providers and stuff. I mean, they
Smart.
would use it like if bad weather was bad and there was ice on the roads, they would just say, "Hey, everybody, we're going to transition to work from home today." And they
Yep.
could do it, know that everybody got it, not have to call,
Smart.
not have to do a call
Yeah.
chain, not have to do an email, and they know that everybody's going to see it because I think what's the average? Everybody sees a text message within 3 minutes or something.
98%
Michael,
text messages are read in 3 minutes or less.
yeah, from
Wow.
the time they received it. So you're
Wow.
really it's really effective, and there's more than just out volunteers trying to get all the volunteers on. You can select those volunteers and put those into groups. Here's
Great
one of the things
call.
that I thought was really cool
List segmentation.
is
Yeah, yeah. It's great.
yeah,
Mhm.
you do all that. You can do a QR code. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a QR code. They scan the QR code and it automatically puts them in. So there's a guy still one of, and it's funny because I'm still a customer of theirs. I don't know how we don't do much with it anymore because I've got basically one guy that wrote a book, and inside the book it has the text to give, and he has this automated messaging that they will get this for 40 days, and it's called 40 days is the deal in this book, and it's if you pray for 40 days and you go through this, what's going to happen, and he sends a preset message out. Doesn't matter when they start because it's not all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's one of the neatest things. So when you get a new donor, let's just say that you have somebody that is new, they're going to get, you can set up, and I'll let Michael tell exactly how this works. Y'all probably are doing it for a lot of people, but like, let's just say this is the onboarding. When somebody first signs up for texting, well, we don't just going to just put them in the loop and just start bombarding, hitting them with stuff or thinking about, hey, let's go send a text out today. Well, they're just going to get a certain amount of text. Let's say that week one, they get, hey, welcome. We're so glad you could be here to help us with our mission, such and such. And then the next week, they get something about what's going on. And then the next week, they get something else. And you can do it days, weeks, time, whatever. All this can be done at one time. So you don't have to sit there and go, oh, man, we're supposed to send out a text message. So talk about that
Right.
some more, Michael.
Yeah, I think for our church partners specifically, we refer to this kind of as the connect trip. So whether it's your first time on campus or you've been coming here for the last 10 years, we simply just want to connect with you. Because especially with as big as these churches are getting nowadays, it's so hard for churches sometimes before they can get bigger, they have to get smaller. And so by simply just texting something like connect, what that'll do is it's just going to put them in one of these drip keywords like Jason was referring to. And now they get a chance, whether it's twice a week, weekly, every day. Now a different face of that church is coming up. For example, at the church I go to, Cottonwood Creek, it could be one day is the communication pastor, the next is the children's pastor, the next is the youth pastor, and it's, hey, I'm Chase Durham, I'm the middle school and high school pastor here. We meet during these times at these places. I personally want to meet you and meet your kids, and I can't wait to pour into them and get to hang out with them. And it's these different what entry points, and I might only be interested in three of them: the children's ministry, the men's ministry, and churchwide. And so now what I get to do as the user is I get to specifically opt into those different segments within the church. So now while I might be receiving 12 messages a week from a church, which might seem like a lot, but it's not, because I've personally put myself into all those different ministries within a church. And now I'm receiving content and messaging that's specific to just my interests. And that's why in the ministry space, the opt out rate is less than a half of a half percent. And so now using that connect drip, I can put
Wow.
myself in the different ministries that I want to get in. And then at the end, what's it doing? It's, have you consider, are you a member yet? Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it entails to be a member at the church? Click this link to come to our new member luncheon. Have you made a
Mm-hmm.
decision to accept Christ? Click this link to get baptized. And now what we're doing is we're automating some of this church life workflow for the churches so they can start to be more strategic and be more effective with how they're growing their church.
You
And
said
that's
something
really
really, really, you said
for
something,
sure.
sorry to cut you off, but you said something very, very interesting though about how, you know, we listen to, we get to speak to so many different organizations and professionals like you and what have you. And we get so much info, so much great info and insight and what have you. You just said something very interesting about just, and you're using it just as an illustration, but I want folks to realize when you have this kind of ability to reach folks that easily, right? With the most powerful fundraising tool that you have, and within 98% of text message are read within 3 minutes and things like that. So you can start getting creative. And you just said something about like becoming a member, or like, text messaging is allowing you a really quick and efficient, and the same thing, right? Way to give exclusivity, for instance, like sign up for the VIP experience at our event, click here, right? I mean, it's just like creating a community. Like had this conversation with Tim Jay, I mean, a few weeks ago, and I was like taking notes and like
Hmm.
just floored because he worked for an organization where they were membership driven, but they created a community and people were craving to be a part of it. And they raise a tremendous amount of money. And so I guess, I'm going wide lens, but using the efficiency of this kind of messaging service to invite folks to be a part of something exclusive, to, hopefully I'm nudging folks to be creative about how you can brand a certain giving component, or a certain event that can become, habitual, that folks, want to go back to. And, oh, you weren't a part of that? Oh, geez, you missed out. That kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like text could
So
do that.
one of
And then
the
another thing, go ahead, please, Michael.
just to double down kind of on that VIP thing. So a
Yeah.
lot of times what we'll see with our radio clients is they're promoting all the different concerts that are coming to town and everything, and
Yes.
they have kind of their DJs or members from their team at the concert, and before the concert starts, it's, hey, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard your favorite band on Way FM before, and so
Mhm.
as an extension from Way FM, we're doing the VIP upgrade today. So if you look right up here, you'll see 4 empty seats on the front row of the concert. Everyone pull out your phone, text the word upgrade, and that'll put you in the drawing. And then it automatically picks a winner. They receive a text, and now everyone gets to clap and give them the big hoorah. They get to upgrade their seats. And those 4 people are going to have the time of their life. But now the radio station just got 10,000 new opt ins for them to further cultivate, give updates on what the station's doing, ways to make an impact in the community,
Yep.
ways to pour in content. And then now what's
Yep.
happening? Now it's we're a faith funded radio station. We can't do this without you. We stay on air because if you click this link, if you enjoy listening to this music, and now they've expanded their reach because now they've reached 10,000 more people that they might not currently have in their database because they may or may not have ever made a donation. But because
Mhm.
they were at that concert and tried to give that giveaway, now they're receiving all this reoccurring text messaging from joining this VIP group. And then
Yep.
now it's just broadening that reach for impact and for fundraising.
So good. Yeah.
That's
Really.
something, and we've seen where nonprofits, they'll have like a gathering of a bunch of people, and they'll do the same thing. They'll take your
That's what I
phone. Hey,
mean.
everybody, pull your phone out. Pull your phone out. They'll give them something called teddy bear, and we're going to give a stuffed teddy, whatever it is. I mean, it could be anything. It could be
Mhm.
um, trips, travel, wine, tickets, some kind of gift, a gift certificate, something like this. Hey, everybody, we're going to do a quick drawing, and they do it, and all of a sudden, you've got 300 new people that just got opted in because
Yeah.
they were there. Maybe you're going
300,
to
300
a
fans.
Rotary. You're going
Yeah.
to a Rotary, and you're out here doing this. All of a sudden they've opted in. Now they may
Yeah.
opt out again, and that's okay. But you're connecting with people and have an opportunity to do this that you've never had before.
Yeah.
Literally instantly, you're going to get a connection with those and be able to start sharing content with them. Something, Michael, that uh, you brought back, I'm going to kind of come back to the beginning. You were talking about with a picture and a link. So one of the things that when people are trying to reach people for fundraising, get him to come to events, doing some stuff, we did this with Beverly's committee one time where they did a little video. What are some of where they did a video, it said it was about the upcoming event, hope you're going to join us, and then they would text it
Smart.
out to everybody that they knew personally. What are some of the rules, the road of that? Not rules within the compliance piece, but just best practices for when somebody's going to send a message that you're trying to get. That is, I know you said, having a picture, you get 3 times more engagement, 4 times more engagement. But what are some other rules of the road? Is 30 seconds just the number, or is it better shorter, 15 seconds on a video?
Yes. So with the short videos and stuff, the 30 seconds usually comes from an actual data size point. So you can only push so much data within that text message out to the carriers and the aggregators. So that's why we recommend 30 seconds or less, because that 30 seconds or less takes up probably 99% of the actual data capacity of that message.
Okay.
And then all the content and URLs and stuff make up the other 1%. So really that 30 seconds or less is only from a data optimization standpoint.
Okay.
So that's the thing
Well, I
with it.
know, yeah, I just know it's effective. Beverly just commented, yeah, it worked well for him, and it does.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
And I
people
think
like
it
to see
also
video and
Yeah,
oh,
it
go
also
ahead.
taps people's attention spans too. No, in today's age, they're not going to sit there and watch a 4 minute video unless they already knew in their mind that they were prepared to sit down and watch this video. So when this
Yeah.
text message shows up, they're not expecting it, so they may or may not have time, but they do know that in the past these videos have always been 30 seconds or less. I always have 30 seconds. I can
Yeah.
tune in and watch that real
Get my
quick.
toes in. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Cool.
Um,
Got to be some questions out there.
I had a question. Yeah, go ahead, please. Anybody. And thanks for sharing, Bev. Good to see you. Like what do you advise with nonprofits about like just like shareability or of the messages and just, how easy it can be just so like you said B2P, P2P, all this different, shareability side of things when it comes to fundraising, peer-to-peer giving, all that kind of stuff. It's like, hey, I give here, so you should too. It's like, what do you advise as far as like how you can go down that channel, with
Yeah,
the organizations you work with?
I think one of the coolest things that I've seen before that I was not expecting to see is how viral text messaging can go. And
Okay,
because
cool.
at the
Yeah.
end of the day, text messaging is such a personable thing. It's the most personal way that you can connect with someone. And
Mm-hmm.
so I receive a message that was like, man, all right, that's cool. Or it's you're at church on Sunday and then the pastor's speaking, and immediately what comes to your mind is someone's like, man, I wish so and so was here. Then that could have really benefited from hearing that message.
Got it.
I'll
Yeah.
hear Monday comes around. Hey, did you miss us this weekend? Click this link for
Boom.
yesterday's sermon recording. It's like,
Yep.
okay, perfect. Copy,
Yep.
paste, send to four of my best friends or family members. And then it's like, okay, yeah, that was good. I'm gonna forward it to these people. And now we start to see this
Right.
kind of snowball effect of one message was sent to one person, but now it's gone viral and it's reaching thousands of people. And the coolest
Right.
thing, the way to kind of drive that engagement and kind of watch is all those short URLs that get sent through our service specifically are all trackable. So you can see
Yeah.
how many times people are clicking those URLs, what days, times, different things like that. So while this Monday message might have gone out and you're expecting people to be clicking on that on just Mondays and stuff, now you go to the dashboard and you start to see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, clicks,
Right.
clicks, clicks. And now people are either going back to the message that they received because it's handy on their phone and it's easy to get to, or that they forwarded it to a friend and now you're having a new fresh set of eyes engaging in your content.
And you can see that data when it's been forwarded as well.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
That's
Well, you can
really
get
neat.
lost. You can get lost in that pool, can't you?
Oh
That's
man.
a lot
Countless
going on
episodes
there. Right. Right.
just to talk about data.
Yeah, I like it. I like it, man. Well, we'll do that for another hour without people because they don't want to. We don't want people to fall asleep. But I like that. I like getting lost in the data there and see where things can go. It's a deep rabbit hole. That's really really cool, man. Good stuff.
So what's like something that whenever you started with a nonprofit, church, whatever, what's something that was really surprising that maybe something that came out that y'all learned that you didn't know, like you're talking about some different things that somebody came up with and you're like, oh my gosh, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
maybe the unintended benefit that nobody ever thought of that's come about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think the list goes on and on from that. I think one of the biggest things that we try to do as a company is just try to listen. I think half of the different feature offerings we have come from a client and not from
Awesome.
internal. And
Right.
so
Right.
I think and I think a lot of it is just tweaks to already existing features because what
Mhm.
we created it with how we thought it should work from a business perspective doesn't might not necessarily be exactly how it should work from a nonprofit perspective. And just being open to listening and open to feedback. I mean, we are constantly tweaking our software every single day, so it's just more and more user friendly and designed for what it's truly designed for, and that's folks in the nonprofit world.
Cool.
That's
Good
cool.
stuff.
It's very
My big
cool.
one where you raised your hand, Jay.
Hmm.
My big one was asking people for their feedback, like throwing surveys, out with a link
Hmm.
to a survey, for
Oh
instance.
yeah.
Like, what'd you
Yeah,
think about this? What'd you think about this event? What'd you think about what we were doing here? Give us some feedback. And I just think that I think that donors are, when they're giving to an organization, they're craving the opportunity to give feedback, right, and be asked. And it's not egotistical; it's flattering. You know what I mean? I
Totally.
think. I think
I
it's.
think
I
even
think it's
from
cool.
a conference perspective as well, we offer just conference solutions packages where we come alongside and text optimize your conference. And one of the components of that is surveys, and it's speaker surveys, it's conference as a whole surveys, and it's finding these entry points that are just natural. And you might have 4 different breakout sessions going on at once, but we're only sending the survey results to just the people that attended that breakout session. So it's not, why am I getting a survey from Jason when I was in
Right.
Trevor's session? And it
Totally. Yeah.
also gives the speakers actual better tangible results, because that's going out. The speakers up there, all right, you guys are about to receive a text message. I'd love if you could take 2 minutes to answer 3 brief questions about my session today. They're already kind of on that high that, oh man, this content was awesome. This guy
Mhm.
rocked it. So now they're going to want to take the time to give feedback right there in the speaker. The speaker's gaining that. The conference as a whole is gaining that, so they can decide on who they want to bring back, might not want to bring back, other topics that they want to maybe go a little deeper on next year, and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
the conference as a whole. And I think one of the other cool pieces of that, and I won't go into too much more, is just kind of the text enabled Q&A. So just like we're doing Q&A here, instead of
Mm-hmm.
doing the pass the microphone around and taking up the speaker's time to be actually be doing what he was brought here to do, because someone's up there and they're pontificating and you're starting to wonder if there's even a question coming, or is this guy up here because now he's the subject matter expert.
Mhm.
Now
Right.
what they can
Totally.
do is they can text the word question. They can start to funnel in all of these questions by text, goes to a moderator. They cherry pick the questions, ask them on stage, and it also gives the person the voice in the crowd that might not have the courage to ask it on the microphone in front of everyone a way to ask the question. And then post conference, it's, hey, we got all your questions, don't worry. And now here's that engagement throughout the year. Even though your conference is once a year, that speaker will answer a dozen more questions, and now we're dripping these questions out. Hey, what's it like to live with someone with addiction? How can I actually help them? And now the speaker's right there speaking to that, and these are just different entry points that we can keep people engaged throughout the year. There's a lot of cool stuff with that.
That's
That's
really
very
great.
cool.
I love that. Yep. Yeah,
Well,
that
cool.
feedback
Well,
piece.
we
I
don't
love
have any
that.
questions. I know, and if you're out there watching on the live stream, I was looking to see if there was a question, if anybody had it. Um, if that, or if you're watching this on YouTube or seeing the
Mm-hmm.
recording, uh, and you've got some feedback or you've got something, let us know. We love that kind of feedback. So let us know. I would say send us a text, but we don't have that ability. But we need to talk
I'll
about
hook
that.
you guys up.
That's what I was going to say. I know
I've
someone.
been taking notes, man. Yeah, Michael, you and I will be
Yeah.
talking soon, man. Yeah.
So
So really, really cool.
real quick, I don't want to, because we're kind of coming up on the deal. We got to give something away, so don't take
We
off.
are coming up on the deal.
And what what's it take, kind of ballpark, because I know there's applications for everything, but what's it take to kind of get into where you could do your text message to do text messaging?
Oh man, I think is I'm looking at like Texas as a home, for example, for us. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Texas is the home of the cowboy church, and that might be down the road, and that there's 25 people in there. And so, I mean, there's plans and methodology for
Hmm.
operations as small as that, all the way up to sending a message anywhere in the world in any language, sending millions and millions of messages a day. So, I mean,
So
there's an entry point no
yeah,
matter where you're at, and I think as long as you're the biggest thing is ready to adopt texting into your communication model, because as a brand, we have that once we opt them in and we tell them that we're going to start texting them, we have that obligation to continue that text message
yeah,
communication to them. We don't want to kind of leave them hanging in the dark. They forget about us. We pop up really random with either just a piece of info or content or a fundraising opportunity, and it's like, oh, I don't even remember who these guys are. I'm out. So it's just really just, I think it's more of when you're ready to actually engrave texting into your communication strategy is when it's going to be the best for you to get going.
that's
Gotcha.
great. That's really
Good.
good. Michael,
Really, really
thank
good.
you so much. I really appreciate
You're the
you taking
man.
the time today.
Thanks, guys.
This is
I
good
learned a
stuff.
bunch. That
I
was
just see
awesome.
so many
Yeah.
ways that people can do this and, um, really make an impact. Because, it's back to that whole thing. I want to just hit this one more time.
Yeah.
Gratitude. We could never say it. And, it's so funny what you said, because I always tell people if they say, "Oh, thank you so much for your help. Here's a link to click to give more." Well, you've said thank you, and then you take it back when you ask again. So don't try to put those two things together, especially right after you've asked them for something. And so that gratitude, it's just such a great thing. All the different ways that texting can work, guys, it's an amazing thing. I'm sitting there thinking, I know Trevor is, about ways we can just do it with our company, working with all the nonprofits we work with. So, well, let's give something away.
Love it.
And I've got a winner. I'm going to share my screen with the big picker.
Thanks, Michael, by the way. Thanks for spending
up.
the time with us, brother. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah.
And this is, I want everybody to notice, if you've been here before, when you see this, and that way Trevor will get off my back because he's been on me for a while.
We're gonna go giving away so much, man.
Actually have HGA colors in this now, and it's not green.
Very cool, man. Very cool. It was like split pea soup for the longest time, but it's okay, man. That's okay.
So our winner, oh gosh, now I've got to go back over here and do this. Amanda, you're our winner.
Amanda Parker. Cool.
Amanda Parker, congratulations. Reach up there, touch the screen, and here it goes.
No whammies, guaranteed. That's all winners right there, Amanda. So
all
that's really
winners.
Cool. No whammies. Yep.
Holy smokes.
She won the Caribbean and $500? Oh, okay.
No, she won $500.
Right there on the line, man.
It was right on the line. I thought we were going to do. We gave away a trip last week. Cool. So congratulations. And you're the winner. Amanda.
We'll be in touch, Amanda.
$500 of HJ bucks. You can use it on any trip for one of your fundraisers. And
very cool.
Awesome.
You can share that with everyone in your network via text message if you want that you won. That's cool too.
You could text this out and say that you are a winner.
I won. This is so fun. Yeah.
I never win anything, but today that's over.
Wow. Yeah. Send that out there, Amanda. Thanks a ton. You never. Oh, hey, you can never say that again. You can never say that again, Amanda, because you just won. So, hey, and thanks so much for being here, Amanda. Really appreciate it. Like we said,
thanks,
Michael,
everybody.
Thanks a ton, man, for the time. Really informative.
Oh, hey, we're gonna send out an email tomorrow to everybody that registered. It's going to go out, and we're going to put Michael's contact information there, so that way you'll know. So if you want to reach out to Michael, find out how Powered by Text can help your nonprofit raise more money. It's going to be right there. Okay.
Far out. Yep.
Awesome
Thank you.
Stuff.
Thanks, Jay.
Awesome
Thanks, Michael.
stuff.
Appreciate you. Everybody have a great afternoon. We'll be in touch.
Take care.
Thanks so much. Okay. Bye now.
See you guys.